Hello and welcome everyone to IndiePod, an indie games podcast, your weekly source for all the indie games news you need to know. This week we are bringing you 3 news stories, and I'm quite excited about them because one of them is super fucking weird, and I'm excited to talk about it, to be completely honest. But before we get into that, I would like to introduce myself, Vaughn Hyde, alongside my illustrious co-host, the biggest of average, Josh Boys. How you doing today, Big Josh Boy?
I finally saw the wiggle.
Yeah, I told you, I do a weird thing every time. I literally have to do that every time to get that kind of like, you know?
Yeah, I get it. Sometimes
it's special.
You just need to wiggle every time you see me. It's kind of like the equivalent of a dog, you know, wagging its tail, getting really super excited.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I mean, I feel like that's why Chris is never going to do it correctly, is because he doesn't have the excitement to see you like I always do.
Got to get that butt wiggle in.
So it is possible. We should say this. We're trying to record this with video. We don't know if it's going to work. So if you're listening to it as on audio feeds or if it actually worked out in the coming week or whatever. Maybe.
We'll find out. Who knows?
Luckily, we are recording a backup just in case so we can have it as audio.
Yeah, that would suck. But yeah, the person that we were supposed to have, bailed on us because can't trust him.
The world is ending?
The world is ending, so he decided he had better things to do.
How dare he? No, we figured it out. We hopefully figured it out. So, Josh, before we get into the actual episode, I, of course, have to ask you a stupid question.
Hell yeah, let's get into it.
Do you have pairs of underwear that are like your backup pair of underwear that you don't ever wear? Like, you don't like these underwear. They fucking suck.
Yeah.
You don't like these underwear, but if you run out of all of your underwear, they're just like there.
Yeah.
You kind of hate that you have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I thought that everyone had those.
Yeah, you have to. Because, like, I don't know. I just got a ton of new undies because I needed them because it's been a while. I'm pretty bad with shopping, like, for clothes. Like, I'll just reuse the same clothes for years and years because I'm just like,
oh, yeah.
These are so comfy and they're what I have. And, like, I'm not good at shopping for clothes. Especially now because, like, it's weird to try things on and you just have to kind of guess since, like, I don't really go into stores.
Do they even really let you try shit on anymore?
I mean, no. Like, you can't try on undies. Like, once you try them on, they're pretty much like, all right, I guess these are mine.
Like, yeah, you go up to a dressing room with just a bag of underwear and they're like, what are you trying to do right now?
Like, I got to make sure they feel good. You know what I'm saying? I got to stretch them out.
Yeah, you're like, I think you know exactly what I'm trying to do. I don't know why we're playing games here.
I'm not going to buy them until they touch my balls first. All right?
Like, I'm trying to mushroom stamp these underpants to make sure it feels good on my dick. Like, what do you think I'm doing?
I mean, if I'm going to commit my life to wearing those undies for, week after week, I got to make sure they cup hold nice and tight. You know what I'm saying?
I like the idea that you're committing your life to it. Like, you're like, I will own these underwear for the rest of my life. For the foreseeable future.
I mean, that's kind of what it is. Until eventually there's holes in it. But usually it's not me who gets rid of my undies. It's my wife who is like, would you fucking throw those away already? There's holes in them. And I'm like, they're good enough. There were always holes in them. They got big holes. Now they just got small ones. It's all good.
Yeah, you're like, who's going to see it other than you? Why does it matter?
I know.
There's 2 people going to see these things. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know.
But, we have behind closed doors,
Could be. I mean, you could be swingers, dude. You live in Florida.
It's true. Alligator fucking.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you never know what's happening over there. There's like lizard people hanging out in the bogs and swamps. It's like the fucking Witcher out there. Just Scandinavian folklore. But
have you ever been to Florida?
Obviously. The amount that I talk about
so
in
much,
big fucking Jurassic Park, yes, I've totally been to Florida, 100%. Never in my fucking life.
Never.
Actually, that's not true. I have been there once. when I was like 3 years old, and I can't remember.
You don't
it
know
at all.
shit. Get out of here.
The only thing I remember about this Florida trip was like we went to like Disney World or Disneyland, whichever one is down there, and then California Adventure. I don't fucking know.
Doesn't
went
matter.
and did that, and literally there's two things I remember about this trip. One, I was wearing a Street Sharks shirt, and I think that's dope. It had like a yellow Street Shark on it.
Has nothing to do with Florida. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other one was that my brother ate a corn dog and got sick on the trolley at Disney World, Disneyland, whichever one is there. Threw up fucking everywhere.
Nice.
Hilarious.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad your brother's puke will always remain a little part of my state.
Yeah, exactly. It's just seeped into the soul of your state. The long dong of Florida. Have you ever wondered how many people have thrown up in Florida? It's probably a lot.
I mean, I've puked in Florida, so there's that.
And like everyone goes there for like vacations and stuff too, so you'd have to assume that like there's a shitload.
Yeah. I mean, plus there's a lot of old people. They're probably like puking and shitting their brains out all the time.
That's a solid point.
I know, right?
It's a lot of shit going on there.
Yeah.
But you know, this is an indie games podcast, so I guess we should finally get into some indie game stuff. I mean, maybe not this week.
I don't know.
So, a little bit of housekeeping before we get into what we have not been playing, actually, is we have our new developer interview going up this. Technically, it's Wednesday, so once again, the day after for patrons, the 2 days before for everybody on free feeds. And if you're watching this on video, hopefully you are. Well, so cross my fingers, you can watch this on video.
Maybe
2 days before this, we are putting up our Josh Leap technical typewriter developer interview. I'm excited for this developer interview because Josh Leap was such a bitch to me on your Twitch stream.
he's a character. He is a character. He's a really cool dude, but he gets very exaggerated, I would say. In a lot of ways. Yeah. I had a lot of fun talking with him. I remember when I first I think he reached out to me and he was like, hey, I got this crazy idea, like very different idea for a game. And the first time I heard it, I was like, this is gonna be a really strange interview. And it was. But it was like it was a good interview. Like I would recommend giving it a listen and checking it out.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. So that one's coming up this Wednesday. Once again, day after for patrons, 2 days before for everybody listening on free feeds. Please check out these developer interviews. They're great. Make sure to kind of just help the developers out. Follow them on Twitter. I constantly put that in the descriptions. And, of course, if you follow us on Twitter, I tweet it out every, hopefully, Wednesday. But sometimes I fuck that up, so you never know.
Philip will hunt you down.
Yeah, I was so terrified about that when he said that. I was like, motherfucker. I was so pissed at myself that I accidentally like set it to go up on Wednesday or whatever. I was so freaking pissed about it. But that's the inside baseball stuff of IndiePod. So the other stuff, of course, please check out the IndiePod store. We will eventually have new merch there, but until then, we have excessively cheap merch there, including both. We have cool Podnot stickers and we have minimalist shirt designs, which I actually enjoy. I like minimalist stuff. I wear this hat literally every day, and it just has a fucking, it's like a popsicle.
Yeah,
that's it.
I like it.
And
I
it's
thought it was
dope.
an upside down strawberry, but a popsicle makes more sense.
No, it is a popsicle.
Oh, see, I didn't see the stick, but I mean, come on. It kind of looks like an upside down strawberry.
It kind of looks like a strawberry.
Kinda,
I can see why
does.
you're saying that.
It kind of does.
I've been on the hunt for a hat similar to this for the longest time, and I fucking hate how many people put out hats that are just like excessive. Especially like I want to find one that's like nerdy in a sense, but
I would want that but
trying
an ice
to find
cream cone.
Yeah, I mean I have one that's an ice cream cone, but it's white. But I've decided that I do not like white hats. Black
get
hats,
gross.
they go with everything.
Yeah.
Black hats are good. Like that's a color that could just fuck it. It goes with everything.
I can't wear hats. I look so weird in hats.
I didn't wear hats before. For like the longest time, I never wore hats because and I'm not even joking. It's because it made my hair hurt. So my wife laughs at me because of this. Like, have you ever worn a hat and then when you take it off, like your head just feels raw? It just kind of hurts.
No. But I don't wear hats a lot, so I mean, maybe I'm just not.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe that's it. But it used to happen to me all the time. So I started actually like when I was like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. I'm losing my hair. I'm just gonna like I haven't lost all my hair yet, so I got hair.
Oh, look at them luscious locks.
Yeah, look at the.
Oh, very nice.
Haven't lost all my hair yet, but I know for a fact I'm losing it. So I was like, I'm just gonna start wearing hats, and then, you know, I just found the hats that fit me. I like them dad caps to mesh well with my dad bod.
Hell yeah.
And yeah. Yeah, exactly. Eventually, I will make dad cap indie pod stuff, but I have yet to do so because Teespring has the most dog shit thing for fucking hats. It's so annoying. I have to figure it out eventually. Speaking of figuring things out eventually, check out the YouTube channel. If we have video on this, then you could watch it there. Or you could check out the other videos. So we're going to talk about it in just a second because why I'm not playing shit, but super busy. Haven't put out any new, like, fucking demo impression shit, obviously, for, like, you know, a month. But eventually it'll happen.
We'll get there.
Leave us reviews on all sorts of different, I guess, podcasting platforms, specifically iTunes, because supposedly that helps us, but I have no idea. And the last thing that we have to shout out before we talk about what we're playing is our amazing patrons. We've got Mixomatosis, a.k.a. Mix, Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw, Chris Penwell, Josh Nichols, and Sam Fillion. I'm sorry. I said that wrong. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. Philip Renshaw from Australia.
Thank you.
And then Samuel Fillion from Canada. Yes. Thank you all so much for being patrons. You're all amazing. And let's get into what we've been playing. So, Josh, what this week has kept you from playing video games?
Yeah. Okay. So this week, both Vaughn and I have not really played anything. So the main thing that I've actually been playing a lot, to be honest. One, it's holidays. So you know, the whole like different time off. I've been doing a lot of stuff around the house. I've been doing a lot of stuff for like family and whatnot and all that bullshit. But I've also just been playing just random games that I've already talked about many, many times. So, I mean, I'll give a quick shout out to some of the games that are still haunting my life, which is
Haunting your life?
Gunfire Reborn, The Binding of Isaac, Ring of Pain. I think I played a little bit of Spelunky too, 7 Days to Die. Like, I've been playing a bunch of games, but just nothing that I haven't talked about before. So it's not too much I could say. I have been playing Spiritfarer, since we're going to talk about that in our spoiler cast upcoming, I think. I'm assuming that one. I don't know. I looked at it. Yeah. It had more votes, and I was like, that's it.
I just downloaded it. I was like, it's done.
It's done. Yeah, I was like...
I don't think all of the patrons have voted, but I'm like, at this point, I think if the rest of them voted, they still couldn't keep us from playing Spiritfarer, so I guess that's what we're playing.
Yep, stop the count.
I need to start putting a deadline on those or something, like just to make it easier.
I was like, fuck it, I guess this is what it is. Which, you know, just quick observation from it. I dig the cuteness of it. I can already tell that when we talk about it on the spoiler cast, I'm going to be like, it was fun for a while, and then I was over it. And like, I can already feel it coming, and I'm like, oh, I have so much more to go for this game. But I won't go too deep into it because we'll talk on our spoiler cast. But yeah, like, I've just been doing other dumb shit. Dude, instead of talking about games, though, I'll talk about some bullshit story that just happened to me. Because why not? Let's go on a wild tangent, right?
Finally, it happened for you, dude. You never bring up random shit.
I know. So, dude, I think I've talked to you about this off the stream, but I have, now that I'm in a new house, owning a house is great if you have an HOA because they want to control your life for dumb, stupid, like, whatever shit. So I have these plants in front of my house, or I did, and they're ugly. And I was like, I hate these stupid plants. And they're right in front of my house, and they're these just, they take over the window, and I was like, I want to get these out of here. And even when I got an inspection, the guy who did the inspection report was like, here's a bad for like water damage to your house, like you should get rid of them. And I was like, good, they're ugly, well, whatever. So
they're ugly. So
the HOA, you have to tell them when you do shit like this. So I was like, I literally have to get it approved that I'm like, I don't want this on my lawn for the thousands and thousands of dollars that I'm paying for this friggin' house. Like, can I please take them off my yard? And so they have to be like, no. And so I have to fight with them and go through the whole rigmarole of being like, okay, well, can I keep these bushes that are around it, but just take the plants out? And I went back and forth with this one lady who's like the head of the HOA. And she's like, yeah, you could take those out, but you have to leave the bushes. And I was like, sure, whatever, that's fine. Finally got what I wanted. So a couple weeks ago, I ripped all those plants out. I was like, fuck you, get out of here. I was so glad. Even the neighbor who was right next to me was like, oh, you finally got rid of them. I was like, yeah, these plants suck, which is great. And then 2 days ago, I get a letter from the HOA from that lady saying, you removed a tree in your yard, you have to replace it. And I'm like, what? You told me I didn't have to do that. What the hell? And so I'm so confused. I don't understand why. I email her in the same email chain with the quote from the email of her saying you can do it and you could get rid of them and it's totally fine. And then she's like, yeah, but someone told me you also got rid of a different tree. And I'm like, the fuck, what other tree? There's no trees in my yard. It's just these stupid plants.
She's like, that's the problem, you bitch. There ain't no tree. Like, what are you doing?
I'm like, so I'm so confused. And I sent her an email today just being like, here's 2 pictures, one before, one after. You tell me what tree is missing. Yeah, so owning a home is great, but like an HOA can sometimes be super frustrating for just really dumb reasons.
I could see that. Yeah, it seems like it would be a gigantic pain in the ass. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it, honestly. Did I ever tell you that like an HOA told my dad that he couldn't have a mailbox that he wanted?
Yeah.
This is dumb as shit. It's like, it's my fucking property. It's my mailbox. We have to look I don't give a fuck. I have to look at your garbage ass house. Like, what?
Yeah. Like, so just
the funniest thing about HOAs is that they're so like such sticklers on some things, but not on others. It's like the dumbest shit. They're like, oh, this guy, like, he can have this decorative art piece that is literally just an old washer out in his fucking front yard, but your tree cannot disappear. It's not that much of an eyesore.
Yeah, I was so ridiculous. Anyway, that's what I've been playing. Is the game of life and dealing with my HOA. Yeah, honestly, it feels bad, man, because I make fun of you every week for not having anything to talk about, but I just couldn't do. I was hoping Binding of Isaac was out by now, but just couldn't do it.
I mean, you still played some stuff, though. I literally only played. So here's my little story as to why I did not. I literally only played, like, an hour or 2 of Fallout 4, and that's the only game I played this week. That's because, and I told Josh about this, I even talked to him about it on his stream. I bought Fallout 4, and then when I would try to launch it, it would literally just close. It was like, fuck you. Like, it would work, and the most annoying part about it is that, like, it would work up until like 2 or 3 minutes into the game. So I would get in, I would start character creation, and like halfway through character creation, it would just close. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it kept pissing me off because I was like, I honestly don't want to make this character again. I'm fucking sick of it. Like, I'm sick of looking at this guy's dumbass face. It's pissing me off. So I ended up making a woman because I just thought it was way cooler, and she looks dope as shit. She looks like fucking Ciri from The Witcher, and I love it. But
there you go.
So I had this whole ordeal where it kept closing. I went back and forth with Bethesda's support, which, like, they would never email me back during the day. Like, literally, when I would have time to look at these emails, they're just way too busy. You couldn't be bothered. It's impossible. Like, maybe it was like a time difference thing, but I don't know.
Probably.
But then when, like, the only time that they would get back to me urgently was at like 2 a.m. And I'm like, what? Like, this is the exact opposite of what I would assume. Nope. Like, I would email them at like 11 a.m. Like, it's like, this is early in the morning, wouldn't get back to me until like 2, and then if I emailed them, they fucking easy. They're like, this might be the problem. So, and it got so annoying at one point in time to where I started, because it seemed like they didn't think I was actually performing the tasks that they asked me to do. So I was basically doing the same thing that you did, where I took screenshots of everything I did as verification. I was like, look, it's not fucking there. Like, they were like, set this as your graphics card. And I was like, it's not there. I literally can't. So it was fucking annoying. So I did that, and then I had to work a bunch, and I have a shitload of homework due tonight, actually, that I was doing. So it's like a bunch of dumb shit all piled up. So I didn't play anything. I don't even think I'll be able to play anything until tomorrow, which I'm super upset about. But then I'm thinking about, now that we've got this like camera shit figured out, if this works, I might try out streaming. So I might stream some Spiritfarer or that, or maybe stream some of the Falconeer or the Pathless, something. I don't really know, because I do want to play those games. I said I was going to this week. I did not, obviously. So
that's okay. We got time.
Yeah. Speaking of time, let's hop into our news stories, because we have gone way over. We didn't start recording until 40 minutes after when we were supposed to.
Yeah, setting up all this video shit has taken a little bit of time.
So our first news story, and this is basically just a reiteration. I feel like I've gone back in time, basically. So this is over on IGN. It's written by Matt T.M. Kim, and it is Cuphead DLC, The Delicious Last Course, delayed again. Studio MDHR has announced that the Delicious Last Course DLC for Cuphead has been delayed until sometime next year. In a statement published on Studio MDHR's Twitter account, and it's a typo, so it says account, comma, T space her head.
Yeah, I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming it's it's meant to be account the developer, but it's Tahid developer.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the developer shared that they aren't. Okay, and this is the thing that also annoyed me about this. He used both content and content. So I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? So in their statement, they said they aren't content for this final chapter to be anything less than our best work. As such, the studio has made the difficult decision to delay the content. See?
Not content with the content.
Yeah. So in the wake of the ongoing global pandemic affecting so many, we have made the difficult decision to push back the release of the Delicious Last Course for our wonderful Cuphead community. We've prepared a letter from the studio, MDHR founders Chad and Jared Moldenhauer, to share more. So basically, they delayed it because of COVID. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I wanted to ask you, do you think it's possible by the time that this Delicious Last Course comes out that the Cuphead ship will have sailed? And that people just... I mean, I feel like people are going to get excited about it, but I don't think it will have made as big of a splash as it would if it came out,
now,
this year or last year. Yeah, now.
Right basically. Now, there is no more of this year.
Yeah, kind of a thing. I don't... Do you think that it might not... it would have made a bigger splash this year, or it's just going to be the same?
No, I don't think it'll make a difference. And the reason why is because the playing field of games like Cuphead is so starved. There's not a lot out there that's like Cuphead. And the people that have tried get destroyed, apparently, because it's not Cuphead.
Magic portals?
Yes. People want Cuphead. There's
or enchanted portals.
Yeah, enchanted portals. People want Cuphead. And I don't think that it's going to change in between this. I think it's pretty shitty because, this is one of those things. You don't want to be that person that's stop blaming COVID. But, this was supposed to be out. This has already been delayed, and it's getting delayed again.
3 times?
Yeah, kind of, granted, I'm not saying that it didn't set them back, but, man, I wish I knew more about, what is delaying them so hardcore. What, are they just putting more into it? Are they, and I guess, they said they're not content with the content. What does that mean? What are they lacking?
Yeah. I mean, transparency would be nice. I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to give anything away. They want to hold their cards close to their chest so that when it comes out, people are really blown away by what they've created.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, from what it seems here, they're just polishing and repolishing this shit. I don't really know. I guess we'll eventually find out when this comes out in 26 years, and people are still excited for this fucking game.
I mean, that's the thing is with this, I feel like they could because they could because of how much work that goes into this type of animation. This is not easy stuff to do. The hand-drawn style to this takes a lot of time, and so it kind of makes sense. But damn, man. Get this game out already. But
are you still kind of like, are you still chomping at the bit for it?
I'd tell you I'd play it. I would love to play.
If it dropped today, would you buy it?
Yeah.
I guess if it dropped today and only on the Epic Game Store, would you buy it?
No. I can't go. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, eventually I'm going to crack, right? Like, there's no way. I can't hold this forever. And then I was like, but then now it's become this big thing where it has to be like something special enough, right? Like, what is the game that's going to get? Because I can't just do it like, oh, whatever kind of game, like something that I'm not even that interested in. Like, if out of nowhere they were like Binding of Isaac, but only on Epic Game Store for some reason, I'd be like, well, I got to do it, you know? But otherwise, I don't know. That would be so
funny if you did just like you bought fucking just some bullshit like a Brick Breaker game or something, just the dumbest shit. Like, on the Epic Game Store, you're like, I cracked. I just had to make sure I got Princess and Conquest for $2 on the Epic Game Store.
No. Yeah, I don't think so. But like, I don't really know. I think this won't have any effect. Honestly, I think people will still, no matter what, want more Cuphead. It's such a unique title and just a really, really amazing game. I mean, granted, maybe the DLC sucks. I don't know. I would find it very hard to believe because I assume it's just going to be more Cuphead, which is what I'm looking for. But I don't think it'll be a big impact. I mean, I hope that obviously this isn't something that's, that serious as far as why it's getting delayed. I hope it is just more of them like needing more time because shit got pushed back, but we'll see.
Do you wonder, I kind of wonder if this continues to be delayed and the gap between getting new Cuphead content just continues to widen, if eventually people will be okay with the fact that they're making Enchanted Portals or whatever. See, do you think it's possible that happens where they like, it comes out and they're just like, I've been starved for Cuphead. I wanted Cuphead. This is more Cuphead, instead of being like, it's fucking Cuphead.
This is what I was saying when we had this discussion, and I think Chris was on the podcast and he was like, oh, this is terrible, how could they do this? And I was like, it's just more Cuphead, and this is probably what people like. I'm fine with it, I guess. Like, I don't know, like I get it, but like you can't just say that you own like that hand-drawn style of animation.
Yeah, the rubber hose art style.
Yeah, like that's been done before Cuphead. Like Cuphead doesn't own that. But I get that the mechanics are like way too close, but still, like, it's kind of how games are a lot of the time. There's really not a lot of, original ideas. But still, like, I feel like, yeah, if we haven't had Cuphead in how long now? Like, I don't remember when the original Cuphead came out.
I think it was in 2017.
2017, and this was announced in 2018. So 2017 to 2020 now, and then it'll be 2021 when this comes out, quote unquote, because we don't know what might happen. Maybe a worse pandemic hits. Who the fuck knows? But like,
September 29th, 2017.
Okay, so with that in mind, right? We've been going for quite some time without a Cuphead game or something like it because there really hasn't been that much. So, I mean, I feel like this is the time, like this is probably the time to release it now that they're not going to have a DLC, for someone like Enchanted Portals to step in and be like, look, a game like Cuphead. Don't you want it? Like, I'd be like, I guess. Yeah, I'll try it out.
They're just like fucking, they're hopping on it. They're just like, you bitch asses keep talking about how you want Cuphead. We're going to give you Cuphead. And if you say shit. Yeah, they're like, ooh, I swear to God. Like, if you're going to be a bitch about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is.
Speaking of it being what it is, our next news story is over on IGN. It is written by Matt Purslow. And the title of the news story is Former Dragon Age Director Announces New Studio. This is the second time this headline has actually been used. Because I forget the game. It's... We've talked about it being delayed too. It's that one that's like Pop Idols, but they delayed it. What is that game called? It's like Chorus or something like that.
Oh, the Fig.co.
Yeah, the one on Fig.
Yeah. It's
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's just called Chorus, an adventure musical.
Boom. Yeah, I knew it. That's the same thing. Like, this headline was for that too, because it was former Dragon Age developers, like former BioWare developers, popping over, making their own like independent game studio. And I think that's really awesome. So I'm really excited for it. But This goes on to say, Mike Laidlaw, the former creative director of Dragon Age, has established a new development studio alongside other industry veterans called Yellow Brick Games. The independent studio is located in Quebec City and aims to create original new games of high quality. That's the end quotes there. So, I mean, we just talked about how there's no originality in fucking video games anymore, so I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
but
they're gonna break the mold.
Yeah, hopefully. Laidlaw is joined by Thomas Giro, I guess. I don't really know how to say that. Jeff Skalski and Frederick St. Laurent B. There's a B there. Meeting the studio is comprised of EA, BioWare, and Ubisoft veterans with a body of work covering Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Watch Dogs, and Assassin's Creed. Laidlaw takes on the role of Cheek of Chief Creative Officer, while Skalski acts as Chief Operating Officer, Giro as Chief Executive Officer, and Frederick St. Laurent B. meanwhile, will take on the position of game director for the studio's first project. St. Laurent B. Was previously lead game designer for Assassin's Creed Syndicate at Ubisoft Quebec. The studio currently numbers 15 staff, but is expected to grow in the coming months and years. The goal is to create an original game that will leverage the capabilities of next-generation gaming platforms, done so with a craftsmanship approach. What does that mean? What are you? Do you give a shit about this, or are you just kind of like when new studios are announced? Are you
I never do.
Basically just like
I never
fucking
do.
see what happens?
I'm not. So I'm the type of person who I obviously like certain studios and certain industries and not industries, but like certain games, whatever.
Genres.
Yeah, like genres. But like, and granted, this is probably bad because card games suck, dude. And this is probably bad because I do a lot of developer interviews, and like now I know people who I do those interviews with, but like I'm not the type of person who generally remembers like a specific person from different platforms, which kind of sucks because that's kind of goes against like the whole emphasis on like, oh, you should know the people behind the games. But like when I see this, I'm always like, cool, man, I don't really know you and you've done good work and like that's awesome, but also I don't know what game you're talking about, so like I can't get excited yet, kind of a thing. Like I think it's great. I think it's cool that these bigger studio people are creating their own smaller independent studio, because that's the exact idea of, you know, moving from something that is very high-end studio and being able to run that, and then saying like we want to do this on a much more like small scale level, because then they get to run with their own decisions and they already have a lot of that experience from like a bigger production setup to help them, right, to get over a lot of the hurdles that most indie devs will see. But until I know what the fuck you're building, cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, you can only get so excited for a studio and the talents that's there. Like the stuff that they've worked on is amazing. Like I'm a huge fan of Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Right. Like the original Watch Dogs I did not like it.
Oh well,
but
damn.
Watch Dogs Legion was supposedly good, and Watch Dogs 2 is supposedly good. I haven't played them, and I don't know what Assassin's Creed. Like, are they talking about the original or others? I don't know.
There's too many of them.
Yeah, there's like fucking 11 now. So as far as I know, they worked on the like fucking the Chronicles ones that were like 2D platformers. that's the Assassin's Creed that they worked on.
All right. Which could be great, right? Like, yeah. And it's not to say anything about one specific game, because also even if a game flops, like there could be right decisions made by a person who comes from that team to another one, or vice versa. Maybe they had a great game and they were a shitty person who said all the wrong things and got overturned. I don't fucking know. I don't know what it's like in the back, like, you know, office rooms of those developers, those creators. So it's kind of hard in this realm. Like these type of stories are always like more for, you know, the main like industry, not for like the people or like the consumers. Cause like until you give them an actual game, they're not really going to know what to do with this. Yeah. But I'm excited on the idea of the type of games that a lot of these different people have worked on, and on their kind of mission, which is very vague but sounds nice on paper. So we'll see, man. Like I don't know. I think that, if they have a really good idea and they want to run with this and create a whole studio around it, then like cool, man. I'm looking forward to whatever it is.
Do you take that seriously? Like their kind of pseudo dev speak where they're just like, we want to create games that push consoles to their limit by focusing on craftsmanship. Like, do you believe that, or are you just like, it sounds like dev speak?
I mean, a little bit of both, right? Like some of it is there's always going to be a marketing flair to it because that's what you have to do to kind of light a fire under people's asses. But two, I'm the type of person who doesn't really care too much. One of the things, I guess, why I've always gotten into indie games is because usually they have very unique twists or like really different like styles, even though a lot of them do go to pixel art. But like, I've never been the type of person who cares when it comes to visual fidelity. Like, I enjoy things that have like higher quality. Like, I don't want to look at pixelated shit all the time. I guess if it's supposed to be, then yeah. But like, I've never needed it to be like, oh, this has to be in 4K and I want to watch like, so if them pushing the console to its limits in that regards doesn't really like hype me, because I'm like, cool, it'll look real pretty. That's nice. But like, I want unique ideas and mechanics as opposed to something looking pretty.
Yeah. I guess it would be the difference between, and I don't mean this is insulting if anybody finds it to be, but it would be the difference between Baba Is You, where it's like, I wouldn't say that it's the most pretty game. I think it has like a really quirky nature to it, and I think it's very cute, but it's like that where it's heavily based on how to change games in general. Like, this is a game about fucking with the rules of video games and fucking with the rules of a world, and then taking that and going to a game that's meant to be like the greatest visual quality of the time, like The Order 1886. Like, that entire thing was a beautiful 10-second masterpiece from what I've heard. Like, it's very short, but it looks fantastic. That would be the difference between the two ideas.
Yeah. And if you gave me like the two side by side and gave me like a quick synopsis of what I was going to get out of them, I would pick Baba Is You every time. Just because like the visual part to it, I'd be like, that's cool, but the other one sounds more fun to play.
Yeah, and I guess it all just kind of depends on who you are, too, because there are a lot of people who are, like, in this for graphical fidelity.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, they play on PC because they want the best gaming experience, and they're the people who, like, every PC build you see, they're like, okay, this is how you're going to overclock your PC, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's going to break my shit. I'm not going to do that. So, that's for them. But our last news story is over on Nintendo Life. It is written by Damien McFerrin. I wonder where Liam Doolin is, dude.
I don't know, man.
Good. Fucking. My prayers be with you, Liam Doolin. This is Nicalis is issuing DMCA takedown notices to free versions of Cave Story. So the original story, I'm going to go through the original story, and then we're going to talk about the update, because I find it very interesting, because it's so weird.
Yeah.
So the original story is publisher Nicalis is issuing DMCA takedown requests against sites which offer a freeware version of the iconic Metroidvania Cave Story. It has been claimed. Created by Japanese developer, I don't know, I'm going to butcher this name just to let everybody know. Daisuke Pixel Amiya, I believe is how, or Amaya? I'm not 100% sure. Over a period of 5 years, Cave Story was released on PC in 2014 and quickly became famous with fans of indie titles. Nicalis came on board in 2010 to port the game to WiiWare and DSiWare, and also produced the enhanced Cave Story 3D on 3DS in 2011. Cave Story Plus, based on an updated version released on Steam, was eventually converted to the Nintendo Switch in 2017. That's actually I didn't know about Cave Story until that. When I worked for GameStop, and I ended up like that's when I got into Cave Story. That's actually where I got this quote keychain.
Oh, look at that. So cute.
Yeah. It's very cute. Very cute. I wanted to make sure I got that one because you could get quote, Curly, or Balrog. I didn't want any of those. I wanted quote. He's dope as shit. So I was very happy that I got that one.
All right then.
But despite all of the various retail versions available, the original computer version of Cave Story has remained a freeware product and can be freely distributed online, and a mod community has grown up around the game. Twitter user Buttons Montgomery, I don't know. That's a hard name to say. It's so much worse looking directly at you and seeing that you're just like fucking shit.
Just like, what are you doing?
Posted the following message: warning, bad language. I love that they had to do that. It's like they even censored it, but they still said warning, bad language. On November 24th, along with a screenshot showing evidence of a DMCA takedown notice. So, Nicalis has decided to start DMCAing the freeware versions of Cave Story and fan-made rebuilds of the freeware version that supported mods, while also largely not even using the original source code. Remember, fuck Nicalis. Do not support Nicalis. Do not buy Nicalis games.
Well, damn.
This goes on to say, the tweet was spotted and reshared by famed indie developer Rami Ismail. He, of course, it's Vlambeer. Everybody knows Rami Ismail, who then posted the following message: Cave Story is one of the most important games I think he meant ever made, and I will 100% recommend you do not buy it. Download the free original, then buy Caro Blaster. I actually have purchased Caro Blaster, by the way. It's just fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
To support the actual developer of the game instead of these ugly shenanigans. One of the developers behind CSE 2 fork, I honestly don't know what that is, but seemingly it's a Cave Story.
It's like a modded version of it or something.
Yeah, it says that it's a decompilation project of the original freeware release of Cave Story. So they go on to basically say the main dev behind Major Cave Story, clear some free stuff here. Effectively, CSE 2 was a decompilation project of the original freeware release of Cave Story. It appears Nicalis acquired the code of it when they got the IP. The DMCA was filed because of that. The DMC claims Nicalis owns the code to Cave Story Plus and believes said code exists in the repos. But that's not the case to our knowledge. Several major participants in CSE 2 project, myself included, are currently planning to approach Nicalis to settle on the matter. It's worth noting that Cave Story remains available for download on sites such as cavestory.org, although on November 24th, that particular site was updated with the following message: removed links to the CSE2 repo due to the DMCA takedown. A note about the CSE2 DMCA. This is just too many fucking acronyms here.
A lot of letters.
It's really getting me.
Yeah.
Was added on both the download and custom engine pages. According to the Cave Story Community Encyclopedia, Cave Story is licensed to Nicalis but is owned by Amaya. Therefore, it would appear that Nicalis is overstepping its terms of licensing agreement by trying to snub freeware versions of the game. Although there have been rumors that Nicalis has duped Amaya out of the rights for the game, and then they link to a video. Whatever agreement Nicalis has with Amaya, it has allowed the company to put out characters from Cave Story and other games like Crystal Crisis and Blade Strangers. So the update for this is kind of interesting. This is where it kind of like really throws a wrench in the works of a lot of this article, and is very interesting, where this is updated. Emma, who worked on a fork for the CSE2 version of Cave Story, has gotten in touch to clarify some points. 1. This DMCA is strictly for CSE2, the fan-made decompilation of the original freeware version of Cave Story. Said freeware version is unaffected by the takedown and can be downloaded at cavestory.org. As always, that continues to be true, seemingly. 2, to the best of our knowledge, Nicalis in fact owns the Cave Story IP. We have no reason to believe that this DMCA takedown is illegitimate in any way. While there can while there can be fair use exemptions for decompilations like CSE2, the burden of proof rests on the project, not on the copyright holder. 3. Nicalis has a history of being very supportive to the modding community. At this point, we do not suspect any ill will. We are approaching Nicalis in an attempt to clear up this misunderstanding. And 4, and final, the maintainers of CSE2 have no intention of disparaging Nicalis. It's by their goodwill that we, the modding community, continue to thrive above ground. We unilaterally endorse the official commercial versions of Cave Story. So basically, like, just comes out of the woodwork and is like, nah, we're not gonna, like, fuck with Nicalis. Like, honestly... This is such a weird, like, whiplash moment where I could just see, like, fucking this Emma person just, like, gun to their head. They fucking say it. It's so weird to me that these two exist in the same article. So what do you think about this, Josh? This whole Cave Story scenario?
Man, I don't know where to begin because it's really weird. Like... On the one hand, I want to hate Nicalis because they've done shady shit in the past, and that's just where my head turns to, is like, if you were shady once, you're probably shady again.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, I did not bring that up. We've actually talked about it on the podcast before, that they, like, apparently the founder of Nicalis is a dick, and that they possibly just, people have reached out to them to try to get their games published by Nicalis, and they just fucking ghost them.
Yeah. So there's that. But then, like... It seems like, because I don't know where in this, the main conflict was that the CSE2 had some source code for Cave Story Plus, but there was like a little bit of uncertainty as far as if it did or it didn't, and that was the whole reason why it was being disputed, right? Like, but this person, this Emma, isn't really saying whether or not that's in there or whether this is like a legit, it should be taken down, because this is just someone modding that free version of it, which anyone could get anyway if it is the Cave Story, just original version, and not Cave Story Plus. But then I also don't know if it even makes sense, because if Nicalis is the true IP holder, like, they could say that, like, no, you're not allowed to have that. But then why keep the original IP version available for download there at cavestory.org? Like, why? I don't know. It's just, there's so many things where there's like these little tiny, not loopholes, but just pieces that don't kind of make sense to me. I'm wondering to hear what the the other follow-up of this is when Nicalis talks to these people, because clearly they're not trying to screw over Nicalis or in any way. They want to make sure that, like, if this is a legitimate thing, they take it down, and if not, then, like, keep it there, because it doesn't seem like it based on some conversation, but also maybe it does have that Cave Story Plus, and if so, then they just, they'd have to change it and go back to the original source code and use that. Maybe it is the way to do it. I don't know. It'd probably be a lot harder than just the way I said it, but still, like, there is probably a way to do this. It just sucks for the modding community, because, like, especially if they are saying that Nicalis has been good to them in the past as far as modders, there's so much cool shit that comes from modding communities, and I really think that a lot of developers and publishers should be more willing to let them create this stuff, because, like, it's just, in a way, it's building a community and building people who are going to support your game and going to be your biggest advocates in a lot of ways, where, modders will still, in this case, this modding community is still pushing for, like, hey, you should still buy the game. Like, it's totally a great game and you should get it. And, like, at the same time, there's also, like, people like Valve who will then just strike up with those people that are recreating things or making mods, and just allow them to put it in their game and allow them to give them that semi-free content, whatever it is, in certain ways. And it builds the game. It makes it better, because, like, just because you built the game doesn't mean you made it exactly how it should be. And a lot of these type of games, especially in today's day and age, progress and evolve. And the modding community can help that. And I think this is just a weird story where We don't know enough to make, like, this is obviously a very confusing story. We don't know enough to throw judgment on anyone specifically, although Nicalis has been wrong in the past.
Yeah.
But still, like, you know, I really hope that they don't ghost them like they've done to others, and that we actually get an update on this and see. Honestly, like, the only thing that came out of this, though, is kind of like free publicity in some cases, because now I'm like, fuck, I've never actually played Cave Story. I should really try it out. But also, the reason why this is so confusing to me, Cave Story Plus is literally going for free on the Epic Game Store like next week. And it's like, why are you making such a big deal of this then? Anyone could literally get this for free.
Yeah, I can't say I honestly understand like a lot of this. It seems to be really weird because so the main dev behind the major CSE 2 fork is on one side basically like disparaging Nicalis, being like, hey, they're kind of dicks. Like they're basically saying that we shouldn't be able to do what we're doing because they're saying that we're using the source code like it exists within our software, right, and like basically saying that it doesn't and that they should just let them keep going. They're going to reach out to them, which, yeah, I do hope that they just allow them to keep working on it.
Right.
But then literally like seemingly a very similar person who also worked on this is like, hey, nah, completely the other side. Like, they're not mad at people just fucking around with Cave Story. They're mad at specifically, or they issued a DMCA strictly for CSE 2. Mm-hmm. So the person who went up and was like, so Nicalis decided to start DMCAing the freeware versions of Cave Story. That's not true. Right. They didn't. It's just specifically this one, seemingly, yeah. If we are to believe this Emma person. And, like, you can still download this free version. It seems like the only issue is that you might be using some code from Cave Story Plus. And also, however you might think it's a dick move, if they are the IP holder...
They have that right to say it.
Yeah, they have the legal right to be like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be fucked up, and I very much hope they didn't just kind of worm their way like into getting this IP from Amaya. Like they didn't just kind of steal it from this person. I didn't watch this video, but it seems to be kind of like a gray scenario. However much like this Buttons, Montgomery, I don't know, and Rami Ismail, however much they make it like they seem to want to make it a black and white scenario, it's not. Right. It's like a shade of gray. Like it might be fucked up, but that's just the reality of this situation.
Yeah. It sucks because like I said, I'd love for people to be more, you know, inclusive to the modding community and to be more willing to give up certain, you know, code bases to help change the game and evolve the game, especially because this game is like pretty old at this point. But you know, that being said, you're right. It's that Cave Story Plus portion is their IP, it's their legal property. They could do whatever they want with it. It's not like you can't tell them which way of whether or not you should have it just because you want it, right? Like, I don't know. It's very muddy, and I also don't think we know exactly like 100% what's what. So it's hard to make a decision.
Yeah. This really seems like super shady. We don't exactly know what's going on. And I don't mean shady in like a derogatory way,
right,
like Nicalis is doing something shady. The weirdest thing about it is just that one side's like disparaging Nicalis and the other side is just like, no, hold up, dude. They cool to us. Let's not be too hasty here. Please buy their games. Like It's so weird. I think it's so odd. I guess I should ask you because I've never really fucked around with modding. But to your point, it is very possible, like specifically, what was it? Aliens Colonial Marines was hilariously broken for the longest time. And like it was broken because of the UI just would go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And like 10 years after it released, a modder was actually the one who fixed it. Yeah. And it was because there was a 0 where it wasn't supposed to be. Or no, it was just a typo. They meant to put an O, not a 0 or some shit like that. And they fixed the fucking game. So like working with modders is a very good idea, but also, how do you feel about companies that work with modders like Bethesda works with modders, where you cannot just freely, like, they try to make it to where you can't just freely mod their games. Instead, they try to sell you mods within theirs with the Creation Club, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting way to do it because obviously they want to have some rights, and especially if you're taking their game and changing it to something different, and people don't want to buy a certain version and only want that. Like, I get to some degree why they're doing that, but I think it should just be like, it should be very much like Steam modding is, the Steam Workshop, where like all of these games you still have to buy the base game, but then you can just add on to things. Like, I think it's dumb for, I mean, maybe dumb is a weird word for it, but I just don't think it makes sense to, as a developer of a specific game, to charge someone to help make their game better or different and add more content to it. Like, it's so strange because something like mods are so interesting to bring people back to certain games or to add certain elements to games, or in the case that you mentioned, to fix a game that they just didn't either know, or like just because they don't have the time, because there's like a lot that goes into coding. And sometimes people just want to do that because they want to play the game that might be better for them how they think, and others might think that as well. Like, I think it's BS that you should charge people to do it, unless, you know, you're specifically hiring them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no. I think the whole point of modding and the idea behind that is to, you know, tweak the game to a different state, but all within good reason. Like, I think things like the Steam Workshop are a great way of having that more of a community and more of an inclusive thing, where it's like, you know, you can, when you start a game on Steam that has Steam Workshop, you literally have the option to either enable it so that you have mods, or to just play the base game, right? And I think that makes sense. Why not?
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, like, there's, of course, it requires the initial purchase. So, like, specifically in the case of Bethesda, because I don't know how a lot of different developers work with like the modding community,
right.
But I've been watching like different modding videos for things like Fallout 4 and things like Skyrim, and watching some of the Skyrim mods, it actually made me purchase the game on, like, it that was one of the main reasons that I purchased it on console again with the special editions, because you could get mods. But also, it made me purchase the game again on PC because I've seen so many mods that are fucking crazy that I'm like, oh my god, this entirely changes the game. Like, people will put new pieces of armor and shit in it. Like, they will, like, there's the Beyond Skyrim project, which is basically just creating all of Tamriel within Skyrim.
Yep.
Like, it's really cool. So I think modding only makes your game better in a sense. Like, you still get the initial purchase.
Right. So,
I mean, but once again, like we pointed out before, it's their fucking product, so they could say whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
So then we can't really judge them for it, because would we make a different decision? I would love to see, like, everybody who disparages, like, companies for making the decision to do something, like, for making the decision that makes them money. It's like, in their shoes, would you make a different decision?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, we just never know. So now that we've pretty much sucked these news stories dry, it's time for us to hop into News Cram. So, News Cram, of course, is our weekly wrap-up segment where we, the hosts of IndiePod, an indie games podcast, cram you full of our suits indie games news. This week, in News Cram, we don't have any quick news stories for you, but we do have some new deals and quick steals, and, of course, a whole bunch of new stuff, very similar to other weeks. So, new deals and quick steals for this week, we've got one. So, our first and only deal of this week comes from way of Nintendo Life, where it's reported that Devolver Digital is having an amazing sale on the Nintendo eShop, including Downwell for $2, Minute for $4.99, Katana Zero for $8.99, and much more. So, head over before the sale ends on December 2nd to take advantage of these amazing holiday deals. They're not the only ones actually having awesome sales on, like, just across all platforms. There's amazing sales, but they all pretty much end by December 2nd. So make sure you head over to Steam, you head to the eShop and all sorts of stuff. Like, Of course, this is mostly for our patrons.
I know,
'cause
yeah.
Everybody listening on free feeds is not going to hear this until after it's done. But that's why I say make sure you follow us at IndiePod on Twitter, because I tweet about this shit. I made sure I tweeted about this so that everybody knew. So just be sure, follow us at IndiePod to get notifications about this kind of stuff, because I want to make sure everybody knows, but mentioning it on the show is typically just a way for our patrons to know first, which once again is it's $1, bro. You just give us $1 and you can get these early. We're probably saving you $1 already.
See, there you
because
go.
of these new deals and quick steals. So just give it back. Give it back to the community, you know? So now on to some new stuff. Our first 4 items of new stuff come by way of Nintendo Life, where it's reported that action-adventure game Sword of the Necromancer by Grimoria of Games has been delayed to January 28th, 2021. That action-adventure game, Olesia, I don't know how to say it, by Skeleton Crew Studio and Thomas Olsen, I think, has been delayed to 2021. That 2D puzzle platformer More Dark by Huge Pixel is now available on the Nintendo Switch. And lastly, that 3D tower defense game Defentron by Planetfall Studios is headed to the Nintendo Switch and PC via Steam on December 17th. Now over on Twinfinite, where it's reported that adventure game Martha is Dead by LKA is heading to the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, I'm assuming, and S, and PC sometime in 2021. Now over on IGN, where it's reported that survival horror game Cryospace by Kuklum Studios is heading to PC via Steam sometime in 2022. And to round out the group over on GameSpot, it is reported that cinematic 2D action platformer Unto the End by Two Ton Studios is headed to Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Google Stadia, and if you have the service, Xbox Game Pass on both console and PC on December 9th.
Hell yeah.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Fuck yeah, I'm so stoked. I'm going to play the shit out of this game. Maybe I'll stream it. I'm just saying, maybe I'll start streaming it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll play this game.
Well, I can't wait
show
to
you
see
how fucking
I can't wait to see how bad you are.
garbage. Yeah, just show you how garbage I am at video games. With the Nintendo Switch version launching on December 17th. So, but Josh Boy, we've been blessed with so many amazing indie game news stories today that it's about time we get back to the creators in our second to last segment. God bless the crowd. This is where the biggest of average Josh Boys hops into all sorts of crowdfunding sites, finds something awesome for us to talk about, and we do just so. This one is weird. And it's only weird for certain reasons. So
Okay, all right. I can't wait to hear this.
This one is over on Kickstarter, of course, typically where they are. It's just Kickstarter's the largest crowdfunding platform currently. As far as I know, Fig's pretty cool, but that's like an entirely different beast.
Yeah.
This one, Kickstarter, it's called Stolen Realm. It is a 4-player tactical turn-based RPG with a simultaneous team turn system for faster-paced combat. Discover lost cities, enchanted forests, and dungeons deep. The developers currently, as of the time of this recording, are looking for $10,000. That is their goal. They have $6,531 with 251 backers. And only 11 days left to go. So, of course, if you're listening to this on free feeds, make sure if this sounds interesting to you, you head over. I, of course, tweet about this. Once again, a reason to follow us at IndiePod. I tweet about these Kickstarter links pretty early in the week. So make sure you check them out because this game does look cool. The developers, I don't know who they are. We are the team of experienced developers. Yeah, it's like Stolen Realm at, like, it's just an email address. So
Yeah, they're just Stolen Realm.
Yeah, it's weird. So the reason I want to talk about how weird this is just because of how bare bones this Kickstarter is.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. So like and of course I'm going to ask you about your opinions here in a second, this is like the game speaks for itself Kickstarter, where they put up this, they don't even talk about their team. They don't have the team. They don't have like this is what we need from Kickstarter or how we're going to use our money. They don't include like all of the fluff that generally Kickstarters have. Instead, this is just like, this is what you get. These are our tiers. Become a backer if you want. So how do you feel about Stolen Realm, Josh?
Yeah, so I do agree with you that it is kind of weird that they didn't put a lot of that. I don't know whether that's because they're trying to just cut the fluff, or whether they're just new to using Kickstarter. I haven't really. It's weird because they're called Stolen Realm, or that's the game. But the actual developer publisher, if you go to their Steam page, is Burst to Flame Entertainment, which the only thing that I see from them beforehand is something called Armored Evolution, which is loud and blaring in my ears, which was back in 2019, so not too long ago. Fairly positive reviews, and yeah, it's from the same team. So I guess they do have experience creating games. I don't know about if this was kickstarted or not, but regardless, I think that the game, at least in my opinion, shows enough where you can get kind of that taste. Like, that's the whole thing with Kickstarters, right? Is like the whole point of them is to kind of get your appetite wet, of like, ooh, is this something I'd like? And then for you to dive into it. But I think it's enough. But there are questions, right? Like, this looks really cool. It reminds me of kind of like a weird mashup of almost like the art style of the Minecraft Diablo-like game that came out, Minecraft Dungeons, I think it was called.
Yeah.
But if they had that same art style and then looked at Divinity Original Sin 2 and was like, let's make a game with that art style.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's what this game looks like. It's what it seems to feel like. But what I'm really excited about, and what I don't know enough about, is how that simultaneous team turns thing works, because that is such a big game changer in this. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. But if you have 4 people and you're playing a game where you want to be meticulous about like where you're going to go and what's going to happen, turns take so damn long. And granted, you could look at this the other way and be like, people are going to obviously fuck things up because everyone's doing things at the same time. You're going to be not coordinated, but like, you probably...
Yeah, but it's just communication.
Yeah.
Like, that's on your fault, not on the game's fault.
But like, you could still have that. And a lot of times you still will when you play and each person is doing it turn by turn. And like, at least now it's quicker, right? You get angry at your friends quicker. So good enough for me. Like, I know we have...
Gets it over with. You're like,
exactly.
You're going to fuck up anyway.
You're going to fuck up anyway. Might as well just do it much quicker. I play games with like the same 4 to 5 people all the time. And I always have 1 or 2 friends who, anytime I'm playing these games, we're like, okay, here's the plan. We're going to stick to A, B, C, D. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. We got it. All right, everybody lock your moves in. And then they fucking pick something else. We're like, what the fuck? We talked about this. What were you doing? And so like, this just gets rid of it in the sense of like, it's still going to happen, but at least we're not going to spend hours talking about it and then just be like, great. Thanks for listening.
You're like, we get to the same result, but you just didn't waste my time.
Exactly.
In this game.
Big fucking game changer. I don't know, man.
So seemingly what you... because they don't do a lot to actually talk about this simultaneous turns.
Yes.
Like, it seems self-explanatory, but from what you've extrapolated from this, it means that if you are playing with 4 people, you all choose what like action you're going to take at the exact same time.
Yeah, so that's what I assume.
Instead of like it being like, okay, it's my turn, I've got 10 seconds to choose, then it's your turn, you got 10 seconds to choose.
Right.
Instead, it's
God,
just
I wish it was 10 seconds. No, yeah, so this probably reminds me something similar to if you play the Gloomhaven game, the actual video game, like not the board game, but the video game version of it.
No, but you've talked about it before.
Yeah, so in that game, you have very similar where like people will go in a certain order based on the number on the card that you play, but you're all talking about it and picking your actions at the same time and then moving about. Like, I don't know if it's going to be something like that. Like, maybe you pick certain moves, like certain abilities, and then you're like, I'm locked in. And then each person like plays out as it goes. Cause I think there are some implications into like, if someone tries to move into the same spot at the same time, like what would that be? You know, cause that probably doesn't work since this is a grid-based game. But I don't know, like that's some of the things that I'd like to know a little bit more about. But just looking at it though, like visually, I do like the design. It is very like cartoony, blocky, which I think is fine. Like I said, as far as like graphical interfaces and styles, like I like different and these type of unique looks to them.
It looks cute. It reminds me
yeah.
of that game you should talk about called For the King.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it looks a lot like For the King in some of these maps. And I'm definitely into the fact that you can create all of your different characters. It very much reminds me of a blend of a lot of games that I play and that I enjoy. So this looks to be something that I would like. And I do like how I believe there were in here. You have, so you have, this makes sense, obviously, and it's not a big discount, but like party of one to buy this game and to get it just yourself, it's $15. But as you start going up in the tiers, there's like Deadly Duo or the Trifecta. Then it's not like a crazy amount, but it's enough where it's like a couple dollars off. So it's good where you can get like, hey, I might have 3 other friends who want to buy the 4-pack because I want us to be like, hey, let's play this really cool game together. It's coming to Kickstarter. Like, we'll all pool in money, get a even bigger discount than you would for it just being a Kickstarter game, and then you can go into this. So, like, I think it's smart that they're doing this, especially that it's the 4-person thing. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's also cool because they offer, like, to your point, you could seemingly play this immediately because the key they give you is an alpha beta access key.
Right.
Which is supposed to give you access to the game right away as they build it, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I feel like that should be an even easier sell for you and your friends. Like, it's not like, yeah, we're all going to go into this and then in 4 years we'll fucking game together. Instead, I mean, this game does look really cool. Honestly, like, the art style reminds me a lot of For the King or, like, RuneScape 3 if they just changed the head models, actually, because their heads look way different. But their bodies and a lot of, like, creature designs and the environments look a lot like RuneScape 3. So I kind of adore this art style. I think it looks great. I like that the tiles are like, I believe they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think they're hexagons.
I don't know shapes. Come on, man. You get to.
I'm fairly certain it's a hexagon. I just think that I think the maps look really, really cool. The way they build up on each other, that you can like see the layers by the depth of field. So it's just like it looks like 2 layers deep. I think that's really cool. I'm wondering how that's going to work with movement. Like, if you have a limited amount of movement, similar to Dungeons and Dragons, how you have, like, 30 feet of movement and every square is 5 feet. But if this one's, like, this one's higher, so it requires 10 feet to go over instead of 5 feet, I think that would be cool. The one thing I really, like, I want to know about the simultaneous turns, and it gives you 3 different classes that you can make, which is a wizard, a thief, a fighter. No, there's another one. I swear there's 4 classes.
Yeah, there was fighter, wizard, thief, fighter, or a character of your own making. So I guess that's probably like a mashup of certain abilities.
Okay, that's the one thing that I would really want to know about is how this character of your own making works. Like, do you just invest in like skill points and that's how you make them? Like, I would like to know about like the magic system.
Right.
There's just a lot about this game that I feel like is not covered in this Kickstarter, but it's shown in the trailer, like how they had like seemingly a wolf companion at one point in time. I thought that was really cool. I love the kind of like ragdoll physics that they have, where gigantic like fucking colossal enemies will whack them and they're just like, woo! They just like fly off in the distance. I think is the coolest thing. So there's so much about this game that I actually think is exceptionally cool. I feel like the only thing that honestly hurts this Kickstarter is that there is no fluff. There's none of that. Like, there isn't that additional stuff where it's like, typically I'd be like, man, there's so much information on this Kickstarter. But this is one of the games where you're just like, I mean, it's a CRPG. People who invest in CRPGs, I feel like, also are min-maxers. They're like, I want to know about this shit.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. And I am a little upset because I want to know more about how extensive the actual spells or like the character progression and skill trees would look like, because that's a big part of this, of whether or not this is going to be fun, is like, is this a very watered down version, or like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, I'm also kind of wondering if, and once again, I really don't mean this as like a derogatory term, but if this lack of fluff is also like aiding to the skepticism of this, like them not having their actual development name on the Kickstarter. I wonder if that's making people wary, if they're like them not talking about the team, them not talking about how they're going to use the money. Like, people are naturally wary of crowdfunding because they think they're just going to take it and run.
Right.
And I'm wondering if them not having this information kind of lends and lends to increase that idea. I'd like to ask people about it, but obviously that's not something I can do. I think the other thing, like this town building, is really cool, but they don't actually do a lot. Like, they don't do a lot to tell you what you'd be doing in the game. So they're just like, yeah, you can gather herbs, you can mine precious ore, you can relax at a favorite fishing hole. And I'm like, when?
Yeah. I don't know what the difference is between like combat or like, is it constantly, like, I don't know. It is really weird. Like, maybe it's, I guess, and I hate always comparing games, but like I assume it would be something like a Divinity Original Sin where you're walking through and you can normally interact and do things and talk to people and like nothing will change. Like, your characters can just move freely. But then the minute you find someone who wants to attack you, combat phase starts and like your character is locked into a specific set of movement.
Yeah. I would hope that it's something like that, but that's just, once again, something they just need to elaborate. Like, they in the video, they didn't even bring up the fact that you can make this town. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, because they're like, build your town the way you want, and I'm like, this is the first time you've mentioned this build your town thing. You're just gonna tell me how I can make it however I want to know why the fuck I'm building this town and how. Like, they're like, oh yeah, you can develop. You can, by building bellows, you can craft the finest armor, and I'm like, what a fucking. How do I build this town? Like, it's weird. But this does look really cool. I think what has shown is really promising. Yeah. I just think the only thing that's actually hurt them is the lack of all that extra shit. But I hope it gets backed. I think this game looks really cool.
I want to actually see this come to fruition because I think this is going to be, I don't know, part of me kind of wants to back it, to be honest. I'm going to see if any of my friends want to go into like getting one of the combination packs. Maybe if they do, I'll do it. But regardless, I'd like to see this come to fruition just to see what it will be, because that's the thing. Like, that's what we were talking about. Like, I just want to know more.
Yeah. That's really just it. It's just wanted to know more. Shit, dude, maybe I'll go in with it for you.
Hell fucking yeah. All right, we'll finally play a game together. Damn.
Like 10 years later, we'll play a game together.
Maybe.
But any final thoughts that you want to bring up about Stolen Realm? Also, we know nothing about the story of this fucking game.
Yeah, no.
They're like, take back the Stolen Realms. I'm like, from who?
I don't know. The evil peoples.
The golems.
The golems.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Shit's fucking weird. But any last bits you want to talk about before we hop into our egregious listener just intrusions on our life?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to these questions. No, I don't have anything else. I think we covered it pretty well. I would say definitely check it out if you have a few buddies who you like to play online games with, specifically CRPGs. This might be the one for you.
Yeah, my friends are trying to get me to play fucking Divinity Original Sin with them. So,
dude, it's a good game, but it is not really optimized for multiple people.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I asked them, I was like, how long does it take? Like, your turns, and they're like, it could take a long time.
It's gonna take a long time, and you're gonna
like, sometimes battles are like an hour, and I'm like,
yeah, and you're gonna get super pissed because it is real easy to screw up and not do what you thought was going to happen.
You're like, I thought it would be really cool if I got the high ground, but I slipped and fell.
Yeah, that'll definitely happen. That will happen.
Or your friend accidentally burns you. You're just like,
dude, I can't tell. I hate playing that game with my friends when they're like the wizards, because they never understand the range.
They just drop nukes.
They're just like, I'll throw fireballs, and you're like, great, now I'm on fire too. Like, I'm literally the tank standing here, and you're just chucking fireballs at me.
I have a friend who does that in D&D. He's just like, fireball. I'm like, no, don't. You're gonna nuke our team too, and he's like, but they'll be dead. But I'm like,
good enough. I've done my job.
Yeah. So our audience questions, of course, are typically normal questions, or at least abnormal questions, but they are not this week. So, Philip Renshaw from That They're Australia, he writes in and says, no question this week, guys. I just want to hear your best attempt at an Aussie accent. So, Josh, what is your best attempt at an Aussie accent?
G'day, mate. You want to throw some shrimp on the barbie, huh?
Oh my god, I was going to say the same thing,
It's the only thing I fucking know, dude.
Like, yeah, and it's like, have you ever done that, Philip? Have you ever thrown the shrimp on the barbie? Because I'm assuming that means shrimp on the barbecue.
Yeah.
But
I guess.
I have no idea. And I don't know why you would torture yourself like this. That you would write in. Because I constantly hear people are like, I hate it when people try to mimic. I was like, why would you ask for it then? Like, it's so weird.
Because he's like, you dummies don't know how to do it right.
Yeah, I don't know any other, like, just normal phrases that I would work into, like, some kind of Aussie or Australian accent.
I don't know. I only know good
Shrimp
day.
on the barbie is pretty much the only thing. It's the only thing. I don't think I've ever seen Crocodile Dundee, so...
I mean, that is the true...
Was Steve Irwin Australian? Because then you got, like, Quacky, mate. That's got a big-ass fucking mouth. I don't know.
I think he was. Look at the size of those things. Yeah, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, the chompers.
Look at the chompers on this one. That's a beaut, ain't it?
Like, how did it take you that long to die? Like, National Treasure, but how did it take you that long to die when you're constantly just, like, poking shit with a stick?
I know. And it's crazy that it was from a stingray. Like, of all things.
Yeah, like, I went... There's, like, a local aquarium, and you could pet stingrays. And, my girlfriend at the time, but now wife, she was like all petting them and shit, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna pet that thing. Kill Steve Irwin.
That shit killed him. I ain't going near it.
Yeah, and she's like, they take the stingers out, and I'm just like, sure they do. Like the one time that, like, my luck is so poor. The one time they didn't, I'd be like, just fucking, just get my fucking hand immediately. So Sam Fillion writes in and says, I fucking hate you. Try to speak French as well. I'm curious to see if you know any word.
Any word. One word. I will go with the very famous omelette du fromage. If you watch Dexter's Laboratory, you know all about it. It just means omelet with cheese, like egg with cheese or something like that. It's omelette du fromage. It's an episode where he tries to learn French by going to sleep and having like a recorder that teaches him all of it.
That would be so cool.
And
if you could do that in real life, it would be the coolest fucking
So
thing.
he builds this device because, you know, he's a big brainiac, but it gets stuck and it literally just keeps playing omelette du fromage over and over and over again. So that's all he can say.
That's awesome. No, I actually took French for like a year and a half in high school. So get ready for this. Did you know that un is one?
Hell yeah, dude.
That's my one word, bitch.
Oh shit. Fucking got him.
Yeah, like un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq, six.
A cat sank?
I probably just, yeah, like I think 4 is cat. And I always thought that was fucking weird. Like I always remembered that because I was like, it's a cat. It's fucking weird.
Good shit.
But yeah, there you go, Sam. Hopefully that hurt you in a real way. Both you and Philip. I hate you both. But I also love you, you know. Sam also writes in, because he's a good boy, he loves us, and says, also, what old generation game, PS3 and before, would you love to see get remade for next gen? With all that ray tracing and stuff.
That they're ray tracing?
Yeah, them God rays. them particle physics. I personally would love to see the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games be remade with today's tech. I've been itching to replay those for a while. So, what games would you like to see be remade with all that ray tracing and the new tech?
All that ray tracing. You know, it's probably not what you would think of when you're like, wow, what can ray tracing do for you? But I really want, because you were talking about like older games, I really want a remastered, even though they technically did do a remastered, but like a remaster of the remaster. Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I mean, you could say a remake.
I'd love...
That would be like from like a ground up, like similar to Shadow of Colossus, where it was like less of a remaster.
Yeah.
It just looked fantastic. Well, that's That's actually not true. So I would say like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I mean, I'd also just love a sequel to it, or just like a continuation story of Conquer, or even just any of the other Rare characters, but in a dumb, stupid, mature version of it. Like Conquer's Bad Fur Day was so good, man, and it was so dumb adult humor that as a kid I was like, this is great. Like, what is this? But it was still great. They should remake it, and they should get rid of those censors, because it's dumb that they remade it and kept censors in. Why?
I didn't know that they like censored it or anything.
Everything is censored. Everything is like bleeped out, and it's so
That's
annoying.
Because wasn't that the made or draw to those games?
Yeah, it's like,
Was that it was just like a fucking squirrel like
being ratchet as fuck.
Not watching it profanities.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Like,
but I would love to get more of that game, or like a remake to it, or because I always talk about this, make more BioShock.
I mean, there is Cloud Chamber, so seemingly like the idea behind it is they're working on a new BioShock
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, you're like literally like what I said earlier.
Yeah.
Like, you make the game, and that's what'll make me believe that you can make video games.
Show me the game.
You're the show me the money kind of a
Hell yeah.
Gamer.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, okay.
mm-hmm.
For me, I would love to see like Champions of Norath. Loved it when I was a kid.
That
I
was
would
a good
love
game.
to see.
I used to call it Champions of Duty. I don't remember why.
I played the shit out of Champions of Norath with Chase. He and I like played so much, and I ended up finding my old copy when I moved into this apartment, and it had my old memory card, and I was like,
oh damn, here we go.
yeah, because we eventually got stuck at a part in Champions of Norath and were never able to finish the game. I mean, now it probably looks like Duty, so I don't know if I want to go.
Literally,
that's why you call
Champions,
it
Champions
of Duty.
I don't remember why, but it probably was not that.
I just love that, like, if you played a Dark Elf, like, their racial, like, high-tier spell was just Touch of Death. Like, you'd just be like, and fucking kill someone.
It's a good bubble noise.
It's just so awesome. Yeah, I played, like, a Dark Elf Archer, and he played a barbarian, like a Nord barbarian. It's really cool. But I would love to have, like, that remade with, like, ray tracing and the cool
With
stuff.
ray tracing? Wow. Put that magic missile in there. Whatever that means.
This is a great spell, honestly. Magic Missile's fantastic.
Thank you.
So I would also love, people fucking shit on the game so much, but I would love fucking Castlevania Curse of Darkness to be remade. I love that game. It was like my first Castlevania. I really love the idea of summoning. I love Devil Forge Masters. I love like Hector and Isaac in the Castlevania anime. It's so cool. But yeah, I would love that. Spectrobes, of course. Just got to throw in Spectrobes, you know. Fucking, this is good as shit. This is fantastic. Let me think.
Right.
Any other random games? Fossil Fighters would be cool, you know. Just got to throw in those excavation games. I would love to have those remade with the ray tracing. Mm-hmm. So
gotta look at
there you go.
all those
Hopefully,
fossils.
yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Sam and Philip. But that is the end of this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening. If you would like to chat with us outside of the show, and of course know about the stuff that you wouldn't know about because you're not a patron, even though it's only $1, you can do so by following us on Twitter at IndiePod is the easiest way to do so. That's why we made it that way. Of course, you can follow me specifically, Vaughn, at Hyde Legion. That's HYDELEGION. Super easy to find me on there for just all of my dumb bullshit. Turns out Twitter's a good way to get companies to actually acknowledge your existence. So that's pretty fun.
That's true.
Ended up fixing my Fallout 4 thing just because I tweeted about it. Because it's the dumbest shit. I didn't even get into the fact that I was in a queue for an hour that kept telling me that I was just needed to wait 30 minutes. And I was like, what? And then, like, I'm not even joking. It would go like, okay, 25 minutes, 22 minutes, 20 minutes, 16 minutes, 12 minutes, 35 minutes. And I was like, I'll kill you. You will die right now. And then I was like, maybe the thing's just fucked up. So I like canceled out of it, and then I reopened it. It was like an hour and 45 minutes. So I was like, no, not happening. Because I know that I would sit in there for 25 minutes and it would be like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I would rather just die. I would just kill myself instead. I would never do it again. So you can follow Josh at _George90, or you can follow him on Twitch at _George. Are you going to be Twitch streaming anytime soon? Anything cool?
I don't know. I've been meaning to. I really want to play. What is it called? World of Horror? Is that what it's called? I think.
Yeah, the like desktop kind of game. It's like all black and white.
Yeah, it is World of Horror. Yeah, I've been meaning to stream that because I think that would be interesting, and because I actually just want to play more of it. I don't know though. I've kind of gotten lax on streaming, especially because of the holidays and just in general. The last time I did it was pretty fun though. That was the time that Josh Leap was attacking you in the chat. But that was a really fun time. I told him
straight up, I'm gonna kiss him on the mouth. You better watch out. One of these days, he's gonna get a package. Just a fucking sketchy ass package, yeah, on his doorstep. It's gonna be small too, so he won't expect it, you know. And then just like he goes to pick it up, he like leans down. He's in an exposed position. Then boom, I leap out of the package like a fucking leprechaun, kiss him right on the mouth, and then just disappear into thin air. He better watch out. I'm fucking coming for his ass.
That's some fucking futuristic technology that is just getting wasted on bullshit.
Do you ever wonder if like ghosts and all of these paranormal phenomenon is somebody who is just incredibly intelligent but just use their intelligence for dumbass bullshit?
I mean, I'm sure there's someone who's doing shit like that. Either you're way too smart or you're just way too rich and you're like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, you
might as well mess with some people.
Yeah, you're like the Tony Stark. You're like the next Iron Man, but instead you use your Iron Man suit to like, I don't know, fucking go to Arby's or something. You're just like, it actually is just so much faster to get there instead of my car. Like somebody develops teleportation so that they never actually have to leave their house. They're like, traveling is the worst part of everything, so I just do this.
Yeah, sounds like something we can expect from Elon Musk one day in the future.
Dude, you guaranteed humanity of all, like, of any interstellar species. I don't know others, but humanity would be the one to do that kind of shit.
Yeah, for sure.
They'd be like, yeah, I made this specifically so I could be lazy. Like, that's just makes my life easier. So,
I can dig
thanks everyone so much for listening. Anything that you would like to shout out before we hop off the podcast?
I got nothing, man. I'm not working on anything. It's holidays. I'm going in like hibernation mode. I'll do something eventually.
Do you think next year you're going to be on like a new Twitch schedule? You're going to become a worldwide Twitch streamer?
Worldwide. I'd love to, but I don't think I'd ever make it. So it's like one of those like self-fulfilling prophecies of like, I don't think I'd ever do it because I don't think I'd make it, so I don't try. Kind of a thing.
Yeah, I get it.
I get
it. You don't think you'll make it, so you don't do it, and then of course you don't do it, so you'll never make it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I'll probably try to come up with like a more specific schedule. But I don't know, man. I'm pretty bad with this shit.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap up with some housekeeping. Of course, once again, please listen to the Josh Leap Technical Typewriter Developer interview going live the day after this goes live for patrons. I mean, it should go live for patrons if I set the day correctly.
Phil's going to kick your ass, man. He's going to
he's going to send kangaroos with lasers after me. I love that he said that, and I was like, that sounds like an appropriate punishment for what I just did. So
sounds about right.
So, of course, listen to that developer interview a couple days before this goes live for people who listen on free feeds, hopefully video feeds, and of course the patrons is the day after. Please check out the IndiePod store for our cheap t-shirts and stickers, just some cheap merch to get the word out there about our podcast. Go to YouTube. Hopefully you can watch this on video versions over on YouTube, or you can just check out the other content. Eventually we'll do something. Please leave us reviews on podcast platforms, YouTube, whatever, specifically iTunes, because people tell me that helps.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Tell people stuff. Maybe about us, lastly, maybe not.
Exactly.
I'd love to get like a 5-star review on our podcast that's literally just them reviewing like some other Amazon object that they got. Like, just totally doesn't make sense. Just like,
That'd be sweet. Like it's like a double-sided dildo review.
Yeah, just like, why not? Like, I guess that's us. I don't.
I'll take the review, dude. Like, I'll take it.
5
Give
stars.
it 5 stars. I don't give a shit if it was actually about DJ Roomba. Like, I'll take it.
Sounds good to me.
Lastly, thank you so much to our amazing patrons, Mixomatosis, aka Mix, Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw from Australia, Chris Penwell, Josh Nichols, and Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much for being amazing, and we will talk to you all next week.